Hey, you guys. I was inclined to come right back on here because in the last live chat, there was a subscriber that was explaining about her heart condition and her mother and her sister, and how she keeps turning towards them. And maybe at this, maybe not now, but at least until our conversation, she's having a hard time um, walking away from them and not turning towards them, although they were very toxic to her and not supportive and actually kicking her while she's down and being quite abusive towards her. Spirit just dawned this on me, and hopefully she gets to find this content, comes right back to her. And since we were just on a live, hopefully this finds her safe as well, of course. And for any other people, I just wanted to shed a little bit more light on why this could be happening. A lot of times these inner childhood wounds, because this person is an adult now living on their own, those inner childhood wounds keep getting triggered. So psychologically, we may want to turn back to the same source that hurt us, but where the trauma is rooted. In our attempt to try to heal these inner childhood wounds, we keep turning back to these family members. Unsuccessfully, but we still keep doing it. So it's possible, it's just an indication of some inner work that needs to be done to most likely heal some inner childhood wounds that are rooted in your relationship with the mother and the sister. So basically having a trauma bond to them, and because it hasn't been properly dealt with, emotionally, you keep turning back to get the very thing that they're just not going to relinquish up to you. So that's why, it's really important to do the work. And that's why a lot of times, I point out on the channel, by the times we get into these romantic relationships as adults and we're playing out those same similar elements that we're playing out in those childhood relationships with the primary or the original narcissist in our life, those, original caretakers, and those relationships that we had with our siblings as well. So, the inner childhood wounds that still exist with us and us trying to reconcile it, but that's not the way that it's going to be reconciled for sure. So, that's just important to know. And it's also important to know that you can reconcile any type of traumas without the abuser. As a matter of fact, thank God for that. I've said this throughout the years. Imagine needing the abuser who's not taking accountability, who's not apologetic. Imagine needing that person to be a part of your healing process for it to happen, But yeah, subconsciously, we're going back. We're trying to reconcile it. Maybe we haven't given up hope and thinking that, it's going to be different, or they're going to finally give you the love and embrace, or, it's going to finally be a healthy situation, basically. And then we keep getting that letdown and the reinforcement that it's not, When we let go of the expectation, or we let go of needing that to occur, and we do the inner work, and then that's when we stop, we get into a full acceptance for what it is, and accepting the reality of the situation, and, understanding where you're not going to be nurtured, no matter if it should, just because they should. This person isn't turning over a new leaf. They're not coming to you. Notice that you're continuing to go back towards them. So, there's some psychological work that needs to be going on there, and they're triggering it. And there could be elements of, feeling like the black sheep, or feeling isolated, or, elements of regret and not regret, rejection, basically, more so. So, to reconcile that situation is you're not going to do it by going back to what has hurt you. And you've seen memes all over everywhere telling you just that. Don't go back to what has hurt you, because what you're going to get is more trauma to heal from, or, you know, another negative experience that you already have enough to deal with at this point. So for those of you who struggle to leave toxic family members behind, of course, sometimes it could be out of duties. But what I was coming on here to say was basically what wasn't specifically said into the live chat, because we talked about the other stuff in the live chat, the one that I just put up, as far as feeling obligated and feeling a sense of duty, or a toxic mind thinking like, you know, you always got to stay loyal to family, even if they're not loyal to you. It's like, but it's my, you know, just always giving them, turning the other cheek, giving them another opportunity to basically disrespect the opportunity given, to take you for granted and not nurture you and not be family. So I would challenge you to redefine, you know, what family really is, and is not necessarily just blood. That's a scientific way, of course, of looking at it. But the true family, your true soul tribe, your true soulmates, which is beyond just a romantic person that you could be involved with, is more so actually the people that God placed in your heart, in your life, that can give you that unconditional type of love, so to speak. Because I have my feelings on unconditional type of love too, but that's for another live chat. But I'm going to use that word here, you know. So, you know, if you do have a toxic family, just know that, you know, it's quite possible that God can provide you with friends and associates that become friends, or, you know, there'll be other people in your life that chances are will be more of a family feeling to you than, you know, your blood family. And also learning how to nurture yourself therapeutically and healing that inner childhood wound. And that's where you hear these terms like reparenting and whatnot. You know, nurturing yourself the way that your mother didn't, protecting yourself in the way that your father didn't. You see what I'm saying? Giving yourself the friendship that you didn't get through your siblings. So learning how to give that to yourself. And then to some people that might sound strange, but you can actually be a friend to yourself. You can nurture yourself. You better learn how to be the best protector of yourself, as a matter of fact, you know. So, and that's a sensitive thing to me when I talk about the protection part of stuff, especially like in the Black community, when a lot of girls are growing up fatherless and, you know, maybe feeling like a lot of men have dropped the ball in their life. Like, you learn how to protect yourself, or hopefully you do. But then there's some women that are in that perpetual state of spending their life trying to look for that externally. The next guy, the next guy, the next guy, the next guy. When really it's going to be some inward work that needs to be done first, so that you don't gravitate towards people with the similar energy of the one that let you down. You know, you'll keep finding someone that reminds you of your father, finding someone that reminds you of your mother, finding someone that reminds you of your sister, or whoever that family member is that dropped the ball with you and was abusive and narcissistic, or flat out narcissist, you'll know, whoever that person is. And then you'll be repelled by it. You could recognize the energy, but you won't be drawn to it because there's no work left there, you know? So I hope that this, you know, this wasn't going to be a quick thing. I just wanted to come on here and just further address this, you guys, because I know it just fell into my head. So especially a part of her needing to heal those inner childhood wounds. So, you know, hopefully this situation for that subscriber and anyone else could be a catalyst to start doing the shadow work on the inner childhood wounds and learning how to find a healthy way to provide yourself with that feeling of inclusion, that feeling of family, that feeling of being nurtured and protected and provided for, that those family members are bent on absolutely just not giving to you. And like I told the other subscriber, there's more than one way. And I've said this to people all the time. When I used to give these sessions with people pregnant by a narcissist, and they would always be so sad, my child doesn't have a father. And, they would go on and on about this. And I would let them know, hey, God makes a provision. There were some situations where they're like, well, my child's father is a narcissist, but my father is there for me. My brother is there for me. My uncle is there. I'm like, well, it looks like your child has a lot of masculine energy to a lot of healthy masculine energy around it already. Or you had an older son, your children are aged yet. Okay, so it's not their biological father or anything, but they have the masculine energy around. Or a woman that eventually remarries and that man treats her with respect versus the man that, she had her child with. God made a provision. And he won't even be a stepfather. He'll be the only dad that child ever knew. So provisions can be made, and it's not always going to come from the original source, because that source could be too toxic from its own unhealedness or its own, traumas and issues. It's people can't give what they don't have. So if they're filled with evilness, they're filled with ugliness, they're filled with their own past traumas and letdowns, or they're just sadistic, demonic, whatever it is, because it could be a multitude of things. Either way, they can't show up for you in a healthy manner. God will make provisions in some way. So we can't be rigid in what that will look like. And we have to be thankful for it in the way that it shows up for us. All right. So I hope this helps someone. And, we all continue to do the work, because people aren't perfect, and I'm not making excuses for parents, but people give what they can give. I heard a man talking about being a father, and he was like, my kids think I was holding something back from them at certain times, but it was all the best that I could give. Just like he had to learn with his father, who was an alcoholic. During the times when his father was an alcoholic, active in the addiction, he showed up the best way he could. He was still around. Some don't even do that, but that was his best right there. He couldn't rely on for this or that, but he knew he could have a conversation with him at times, blah, blah, blah. That was his best, considering he was a raging alcoholic at that time. So whatever, crosses people are bearing, whatever their imperfections are, their vices are, whatever happened to them that they never dealt with, especially these older generations who weren't really into therapy so much and just push stuff down. And, a lot of times people will end up becoming their abusers, or they'll take on these characteristics because they haven't dealt with things, So that's all the more reason why, to be in our emotional maturity. Like, yes, that was your mother. In a perfect world, they're loving and nurturing, and some of them aren't. And if you were one of the ones that didn't get that, God already knew she would not, provide that to you. But it doesn't mean that you can't experience that in life. You're not going to experience it with her. You can still feel nurtured. You can still feel loved and cared for. So, I'm going to hop off of here, you guys, but I just wanted to drop in and just have this quick little talk, because it was weighing on me, that subscriber. I literally went downstairs to put my dinner on, and I kept getting downloads about this person's situation. And I was like, I got to jump back on and just further clarify a couple things. And hopefully, the subscriber does find their way back to this. But either way, I hope it helps whoever, I hope it helps everyone that it needs to help. All right, you guys, take care. I will see you in the next live chat. If there's any topics that you would like for me to speak on, you can always put them under the chats. All right. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next live chat.